There's been a change in program, and the South...
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome once again to Invercargill, to the Teretonga circuit. And the song says, what a difference the day makes. Well, here in Invercargill, what a difference an hour makes, because an hour ago it was pouring with rain, but now still wet on track. But we've got a bit of blue sky in the distance as the cars come out on track for the first of our 3 races here at round 2 of the Castrol Toyota Racing Series. Jonathan Green bringing the action, Murray Taylor down in the pits. And this should be a really interesting race. So far, it's been one-way traffic for M2 competition. But there is a competition, and that is for the lead in the overall number of wins between Giles Motorsport and M2 competition. M2 in a really good position to take the lead in that race that's gone on for many years. But it's going to be interesting to see who comes out on top. Liam Lawson and Marcus Armstrong strong in qualifying, not much between them. And they too will start on the front row. There's a bitter rivalry starting to emerge between these two. And I say bitter because when you saw the Highlands footage, they were very, very close on a number of occasions, touching wheels occasionally. And Liam Lawson's move to win the race in the feature race at Highlands was spectacular, to say the least. And there he is, the number 10. What can he do in the wet, though? Who is a rainmeister? Always tough. The wet conditions always bring a different challenge to any racing driver, especially when it's starting to heat up again and warm up again and potentially create a dry line. If everybody's taking that same line in these wet conditions, they'll soon get a dry line. That means offline, if you want to overtake, it makes it even more precarious. Teretonga, famous for that turn 1 southern loop that has caught out many of the greatest drivers in the world. Lap record holder, still, Lance Stroll. You may have heard of him. He's gone on to Formula 1 now with Force India. Father owns the team, but he came here and cut his teeth in TRS, as so many of these youngsters coming up on the way to Formula 1 do. On the second row, it's going to be interesting to see what Lucas Auer can do. And likewise, the Japanese entry, the junior Tom's Toyota man. First time we've had a bona fide Toyota protege, and he is Kazuto Kotaka. I don't know how he goes in the wet. He's going to be doing Formula 3 next season in Japan. Of course, that's how Nick Cassidy made his way, and he continues to be a dominant force in Japan. So we wonder what this youngster can do. Esteban Muth, the Belgian, lines up in 5th on the grid. And great to see Callan Williams, one of the juniors, really getting a good run here. He's in 6th place. Work to do for Raoul Hyman of Giles Motorsport. He's down in 11th. I spoke to he and Dev Gore, the American, and they said they just didn't get the tyres at the right time and they went out on old tyres, and it just didn't work for them, basically. So they've got some work to do. But, of course, everybody's looking at the percentages as well, because race 2 will be a reverse top 6 or top 8. So if you are around that mark, 6th or 8th, you may well start on the front row for the second race. So there's always that to consider. But overtaking is going to be a premium, and also strategy. If somebody does go off, there is a red flag or an opportunity if you are in the midfield or at the back. That's the time to seize it. And I'm sure that's exactly what Brendan Leach in 7th position is thinking. Murray, go ahead.
Jonathan, down here on the grid, just remind everyone, this is the first pole position for Liam Lawson. He didn't get pole at Highlands, so let's see what he can do off the number 1 spot. Just talking to you about those tyres, they're all on brand new wets. As you just mentioned, Giles didn't go with new tyres in that session. All the M2 cars were on new wets, and that may have been the difference. That might have been why he got that time with after just 4 laps.
Good point. And yes, Liam Lawson for the first time in TRS on pole position. And if you hadn't thought about this before, because I don't think he was thinking last week about how he'd gone, here is the grid then. Liam Lawson in pole position, and alongside him Marcus Armstrong. And Lucas Auer and Kazuto Kataka, Esteban Muth and Callan Williams, Brendan Leach and Artem Petrov, Cameron Das and Petru Florescu. Raoul Hyman, who we mentioned for Giles, in 11th place. Parker Locke of the USA is in 12th position. And Peter Petacek of the Czech Republic in the number 9 in 13th. Then Jackson Walls in his first ever TRS race. And that is going to be interesting, because the young 16-year-old, just turned 16 on Thursday, has got a mighty work to do from the 14th on the grid. And at the back, it's Thomas Smith. So then, we get ourselves ready for the first race of the weekend. The man from Christchurch, Marcus Armstrong, up against the man from Hastings. I was looking at the internet, and everybody said, he's not from Hastings, he's from Pukekohe. Well, I'm told he was born in Hastings and does reside in Pukekohe. So there you go, folks. And of course, Hastings has produced the likes of Greg Murphy and many another great New Zealand racer. So is Liam the next in line? It looks likely. This is going to be a real interesting fight here. The Invercargill crowd, as they've come out, as they do every summer, this is what they want. A front row full of Kiwis and some real competition. Away they go then on their warm-up lap. Everybody cleanly away so far, no problems, as the engineers and mechanics make their way off the grid. And this formation lap could prove very important if you're trying to just get a sight of where the wet patches are on the exit of 2, for example. Puddles sitting there, you can't put a wheel on there. And of course, if you do touch the grass here, it literally is very flat here, and you'll spin right round. It's soaking wet out there. We've had about 2 hours of heavy rain in the last 2 hours. It might look bright now to you if you're watching around the world on the internet, but I can assure you that we've had a lot of weather in the last couple of hours, and in fact we're expecting more tomorrow, but in the form of wind tomorrow, and that could be very interesting in terms of aerodynamics. But it looks as though everybody cleanly on the formation lap. And as we say, the 2 Kiwis, Liam Lawson, who leads the championship by only 4 points. And if I were Marcus Armstrong, I would want to strike back immediately and right the situation and get the lead of the championship back, because Marcus Armstrong, in his 3rd season here in TRS, has come back for one reason only. He doesn't need to do the Toyota Racing season. He's proved himself already in FIA Formula 3. But unfinished business. He was a few laps away, in fact 1 race away, at the Grand Prix last year from winning the overall title, and he'd led for most of the season. Sadly, though, it was not to be for him. Robert Schwartzman, his teammate in Prima that following season, that's last season, the Russian taking the win, and Marcus therefore coming back for unfinished business. Not spent a lot of time actually in New Zealand as Marcus. He gave up his teens really to go to Europe as a karter, was an excellent karter on the way up, and so good that he left for Europe early on and decided that was his future if he wanted to make it to Formula 1, and he is in good stead. He's already been picked up by Ferrari and is an academy driver, so following in the footsteps of Charles Leclerc, and that's no mean feat. He's raced against the best, Mick Schumacher, Robert Schwartzman, I mentioned, Ralph Aaron, the up-and-coming superstars of motor racing worldwide. And there's no question that Marcus Armstrong is among them. But he's been overshadowed in the last week by young Liam Lawson. And that's just good for everybody who loves motorsport, because it creates rivalry, it creates the best out of the best. And who rises to the top will be the man who perhaps deserves to be the winner at the end of this long, hard 3,500-kilometer 5 weeks of racing. Liam Lawson then lining up for his first pole position. Gingerly making it to the line, making sure he doesn't step over the box. I was talking to Nico about that. We had a little jump start from Esteban Muth last time out at Highlands, and the point is, if you stop before you go through the box, that's okay. But if you're rolling, which he was, then that's where you get a 5-second penalty. So the grid forms nicely. And it's Marcus Armstrong up against Liam Lawson. Watch out for the second row, though, and watch out for Brendan Leach in the all-yellow and black number 86. He's good in these conditions, and he knows Teretonga like the back of his hand. Raoul Hyman for Giles has got to come through and at least get into the top 6. That's the plan. Lawson, in pole, leads the championship by 4 points. Out go the lights and away we go, and a problem for Lawson. He almost stalled it. He's got it going again, but away goes Armstrong, and he really has stolen a march on the whole field there. And Lawson had a problem. He either missed a gear or may possibly have stalled it, but Marcus has got about 3 lengths ahead of everybody in the field, and Armstrong is off to the races here at Invercargill. Look at the rooster tails and the lack of vision for those in the midfield. Lawson's recovered brilliantly to 3rd place. But number 12 is Artem Petrov, the Russian. And that is a really good start from Petrov. He's come from not nowhere, but he's come from a long way back. In fact, 8th position, and now is in 2nd at the start of this race as Armstrong comes towards the elbow for the first time. And now Armstrong's done the hard work and got the lead. He's just got to sustain that, keep the laps going, and keep his head down and get the points righted for him. Lucas Auer goes through. He's trying to fight for position. Crossing the line then, Armstrong. Auckland City Toyota. Petrov. Lawson's recovered. Auer is 4th. Then it's Cameron Das. Then the Japanese Kotaka. Brendan Leach is 7th. Jackson Walls, brilliant start, is up to 8th position. Into the loop they go. Armstrong with about a 2-second lead. All made from that opening salvo, effectively, where he got off the line excellently, and Lawson just bogged off the line. Worst start for a pole position man. Maybe a little nerves, little problem there. Leach is coming, and he's all over Kotaka at the moment, because as they go through Macaulay Motors corner and down towards the old hairpin, it looks as though Brendan Leach is eyeing up a possible move, but where? There's not a lot of places to overtake here. Into the elbow is one, into the southern loop is another. And here come the leaders. This time, Leach not close enough. Jackson Wall still in 8th position and rounding out the top 10. Florescu of Romania and Raoul Hyman's made up 1 place. Marcus Armstrong crosses the line, a 101.6. Here comes Liam Lawson on Petrov. Petrov's got the inside line, but Lawson's going to try around the outside. Now will he come back? No, he's slotted back into 3rd, but there is a long line, and Lawson's taking it round the outside. Go on, son! And he's done it. Liam Lawson doing exactly what he did at Highlands, taking the high line, taking the risky line off race line and making it into 2nd place. This 16-year-old is special, folks. Into the 2nd place he goes, and in pursuit of Marcus Armstrong. Lucas Auer will try to follow him through. Go ahead.
Down to a 1 minute 2.2 for Liam on that little charge there.
Somebody's coming out of the pits. Do you know what happened with the number 9? Anyway, he's back out either way. That, of course, Peter Peteček of the Czech Republic. Armstrong crosses the line again. Lawson's done very well, and it does a 1:01.3. He's faster than Armstrong on that last lap. Murray quite rightly pointing it out. Lawson's lap to get into 2nd place was sterling, and now he's done a better one. The gap, officially, 3.1 seconds with 17 laps to go. Armstrong is not breathing easy just yet as we take a look at Cameron Das. certainly in the practice and the qualifying. Cameron, who's raced here before, having raced in the Toyota season last year to 12th place overall, so he knows this track. And now Brendan Leach again looking for a way past the Japanese driver, Kotaka. Walls is still 8th. Hyman now up to 9th position. So Raoul Hyman has recovered well. Crossing the line is Petr Cech of the Czech Republic, the 16-year-old. Been doing some Italian F4, but he came into the pits. I don't know what the problem was. And Armstrong is catching him almost to lap him. Let's have a look at the times this time. A 109.9 and a 109.3. So Lawson is catching Armstrong. And there's going to be a back marker between them if it gets down to the nitty-gritty. Meanwhile, Petrov still 3rd. Lucas Auer trying to close down on him, but they're on similar pace. Murray.
And we've got blue skies out to the circuit here. This is a fast-drying circuit. It dries a lot faster than Highlands, so 20 laps on these wet tyres. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in the latter stages, Jonathan.
Yeah, no question, Murray, and I'm pointing it out just before the start. Everybody, of course, is on the same piece of tarmac, so the heat of these cars exactly on the same line pretty much creates an even quicker pace to get that. We got a pass there from the number 7, that's Raoul Hyman. He is climbing his way through the field. He's up to 8th now. I think he just got past Jackson Walls as Armstrong crosses the line. But yeah, as Murray points out, and Lawson is really catching him hand over foot. The gap down to 2.3 seconds now. But yeah, that dry line will come quickly. Raoul Hyman crosses the line now, and he is up to 8th position. Murray.
So yes, Petrov's been into the pits. It was a bent track rod. He's gone back out. A bit of nudging in that early stages of the race, Jonathan.
Thank you. I think it was Petr Cech, but never mind. We'll check for ourselves because Petrov's still in 3rd at the moment. And all good. But you can see Lawson struggling with the weather and just hitting the puddles there for a moment. That's what I mean by going slightly offline. Very easy to do, and it's very slippery once you get off the line, and he was very brave to go around the outside. There is the number 9 coming across the line now. That is Petr Cech, who had gone into the pits, as you mentioned. But Lawson, with all the work to do, as Armstrong crosses the line. Let's take a look at the gap. It was 2.3. It's now 1.9. He's reeling him in here in Teretonga. Likewise, Lucas Auer in 4th position. It's getting closer and closer. He was a 10th quicker than Artem Petrov, the Russian, in the last lap. And then there's a big gap, but there's a good battle between Cameron Das, Kotaka and Leach. And then at the back of that group is Raoul Hyman. Now, Hyman's the man to watch. He did a 102.4 last time out, and that was quicker than Leach in front of him, and a lot quicker than many of the others in front of those two. So we keep an eye on Raoul Hyman because he said to me, I want to make the top 6, and well, he's on his way for sure. No question about it. We'll take a look out to see where Armstrong is now. The gap was 1.9 seconds. Has Lawson done it again? His last lap, a 101.3 compared to a 101.8 by Armstrong. They cross the line now. 101.8 and a 101.5. The gap down to 1.6. He's reeling him in bit by bit with 13 laps to go. But who's going to be lucky here at Teretonga? Fantastic race circuit. Great fans. And Raoul Hyman lining himself up to have a go at Leach. We look at Petrov. Hyman on the outside, trying to go round. And here they come. So Kotaka leads this group. Leach is just behind him in the all yellow and black, all going wide there. But there's Raoul Hyman. He came alongside Leach down the front straight. And so this is a really good battle between them. And in front of those three is Cameron Das. And then there's another group further back. And Dev Gore and Jackson Walls drifting out now to the back of this field in his first ever TRS race. Still a long way to go there. And as Murray Taylor pointed out, these rooster tails that you see now, Raoul makes the move up the elbow and he's got him. Superb stuff. And Leach could do nothing about that. And I think the conditions are such that you really can't close the door and go offline. And Raoul just pounced. Nicely done by the Asian Formula 3 champion. He's practicing to be a lawyer. He comes from a family of lawyers. His sister's one, father's one, and he's now about to be one. And he just adjudicated a superb move on Brendan Leach, and there will be no appeal. Leach, though, is not done. So Hyman moves from 11th to 7th in this race. He set out to get the top 6, and he's on his way, and he's now closing in on Kazuto Kotaka, the 19-year-old from Japan. And the gap at the front as we take a look at the leader, Marcus Armstrong. Coming across the line there, you could see the gap for yourself between the two. Was 1.5 seconds last time out. It's closed a little bit again, I think. In fact, it's gone up. So Armstrong getting back to 101.9. Lawson slower that time. So actually Armstrong just controlling the pace here at 1.6. He is a wily old head on an 18-year-old shoulders. And Marcus Armstrong has done this all before. And he was somewhat criticised for not winning in Highlands. That was the expected result. But of course, if Marcus Armstrong didn't learn anything last year, it's all about consistency, this championship. There's no point in being a hero one weekend and not being a hero the next. You've got to be consistent throughout the 5 weeks. He did a really good job of not getting in trouble last time out at Highlands, but more importantly, getting excellent podiums to keep him in contention. Here we go, Raoul. Hyman, oh, that was easy. Nicely done. Through the old hairpin, but Kotaka comes back at him. Attack, attack, attack. Full attack by the Japanese down towards the elbow, and he's elbowed Hyman back out again. Nicely done. Anything you can do, I'll have a go too. And now they're side by side for a drag race, and here comes Leach to join the battle. So as these two slowed each other down, that's allowed Leach back in. They'll cross the line in front of me. And Leach looking for a way past both of them now. Great racing here at Invercargill. Hyman goes the high line. And Leach goes through the middle. Good racing by the number 7. The South African-born British racer. Rising star of the BRDC. Murray Taylor, of course, a member of that exclusive club. And enjoying the racing and enjoying watching Raoul race. Petacek.
Jonathan.
Still crossing the line. Go ahead, Murray.
Yeah, the gap's still coming down at the front, just chipping away at it. A 10th each time, just stalking down Marcus Armstrong.
Yeah, no question. He didn't have the best of laps, but he's just dropped it down to 1.1 officially now. His last lap, a 101.8, just 1/10 quicker than Armstrong. So I said Armstrong was controlling the race, but I'm not 100% sure he is, because Lawson seems at will to be able to up the pace when he wants. So the field spreading out from Hyman now. Hyman, Kotaka and Leach with about a length between them. But Lawson now crawling ever closer as he comes through Castrol, through the flip-flop, Macaulay Motors, into the right-hander. It's getting close. 9 laps to go. Lawson reeling in his fellow Kiwi from Christchurch. No sign of Petrov. He's some 8 seconds down the road. And now, where we saw Lawson in a world of his own 9 seconds up the road last time out at Highlands, it's the two of them. Marcus Armstrong has struck back nicely and leads this race from Liam Lawson. But what a celebration for Kiwi Motorsport. They've asked the best of the world to come, and they have. And now we're trying to see how good they can compete against them. But right now, they're competing against each other. It's a great race, and they are way, way ahead of Petrov, who's still got Auer in his mirrors. Auer, though, hasn't seemed to be able to do anything. Conditions definitely warming up, and there's definitely a drying line starting to form through 2. Lawson's as close as he's been now. The gap almost under a second, and you can see visually how close they are as Hyman now looking for the next scalp. Dodges from side to side. And Das is the man he's after, the number 28, Cameron Das. He's been racing with Carl in the UK. Oh, and off goes the number 5, that's Petru Florescu. He was in the gravel this morning, and he's in the gravel again. Well, there's plenty of beaches here in Invercargill, but that's not where you want to be beached. They cross the line again, and it is less than a second now that Lawson's got with 7 laps to go. If Armstrong was worried, he's going to be worried for sure now, because he can hear him and see him as they go through the loop. He'll take a quick look at his mirrors, I'm sure, on the exit of this one and decide whether he's going to put the hammer down or just try and control the race. He may not have a choice in the matter, because Lawson, he knows, is willing to risk all in an overtake. And we were talking amongst the journalists, Armstrong needs to be steady here, whereas Lawson, remember, this is his rookie season. He's already made a splash and made a name for himself in the headlines. Awesome Lawson, they said. The yellow flag out, safety car is coming out. The complexion of the race changes dramatically. And now we're going to find out exactly what Armstrong can do. That's the worst possible scenario for Marcus Armstrong, but then again, Lawson was catching, so it just may help him out, who knows. But either way, they're all going to pile up behind the safety car now in these drying conditions. They cross the line, and smartly, Liam Lawson is going to the outside to keep those tyres wet. That's the smart money right there, is to keep those tyres as wet as possible, because when they heat up, they start to dilapidate, and that is when you have problems with full wet tyres. So we've had an incident. I can see the truck going out to pick up the car that has gone off. And there it is, the safety car. And in fact, Florescu right in front of me, there I am, staring at it. And he's in the gravel just past Castrol, but it won't take long to get to him. Petrov now in 3rd place, right there. Through goes Lucas Auer. And Raoul Hyman up to 5th place. That is really impressive by the Brit. And the Romanian in his first year, Murray.
Well, Raoul Hyman went on used tyres for qualifying, which looking back they think was a mistake, but he's now on new tyres. Each of the teams get 3 sets of wet tyres initially. So they all used a set at Highlands. But some of them were thinking of holding back some for qualifying tomorrow morning for the Invercargill feature.
Yes, it's a real strategy test, isn't it? How to go and when to go and how to use your tyres. And this is where the engineers really come into their own. And I talked to Raoul, and he said, you know, we may have made a mistake, but we may not have done. And I think you're right, because with this now under safety, that's going to save these tyres and preserve them a little bit more. And maybe, just maybe, he's got a little bit more grip left as he goes in pursuit of Lucas Auer. So good point, Murray.
Certainly a lot of mind games going on down here, Jonathan.
Well, no question that the mind games with M2 competition, because Marcus was in control by over 2 seconds, but now the gap has gone to nothing.
Jonathan, I talked to Steve Giles and Pilch about this 49, both sitting on 49 wins. They both laughed and claimed they didn't know anything about it, but I think they do now, and winner takes all, 50 wins.
Yeah, I don't believe a word of it. You ask Toto Wolff how many wins they've got, and you ask Christian Horner how many wins he's got. I know the answer. They know exactly what the record board said. The same is true for Stephen Giles and Jonathan Murray. I'm absolutely 100% sure. But keep asking them, Murray, won't you?
Well, as Pilch said, who's counting?
Yeah, we are. And your team are. They went for they had a celebration, a pre-qualifying celebration last night. There's plenty of tradition in the M2 camp. They are well aware of their position in the history, the 15-year history, which has been absolutely storied. Fantastic story it is too, and the fans love it. Coming out here in the summer sunshine of now, there's Florescu. Give him away, folks. Who wants to have the long walk back? Nobody.
Jonathan, this truck going out to pick up the car is gobbling up the laps. They've covered 15. It's a 20-lap race. It's going to be a frantic sprint at the end if they can just get this car. They're about to lift it. It's going to be a frantic sprint between the two Kiwis.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I would have thought Liam Lawson, after that terrible standing start, will be much happier about a rolling start. Though that is a tough one. This is a 1 kilometre stretch, one of the longest stretch, if not the longest straight in New Zealand motorsport. And so Marcus Armstrong will be all too aware that he just needs to put the hammer down. He will control the race, of course, when the safety car comes off. So he has got the advantage, but Lawson's got to pounce, and he's got to pounce soon, because Marcus doesn't need a second opportunity. Let me go through the runners in order. If you're watching on the internet, it's Marcus Armstrong leading the way from New Zealand, then Liam Lawson, from New Zealand in second. Artem Petrov of Russia is third. Lucas Auer of Austria fourth. Raoul Hyman brilliantly from 11th to 5th place from Great Britain is 5th. Cameron Dass of the USA is 6th. Kazuta Kataka of Japan is 7th. Brendan Leach of New Zealand and Invercargill is 8th. Callan Williams 9th. He's dropped down. Esteban Muth not showing today. Not sure what's up with the Belgian, but he's down in 10th place. Dev Gore 11th. Thomas Smith 12th. Parker Locke from Texas in the USA is 13th. Jackson Walls in his debut in 14th position. And the man who came into the pits was the Czech Peter Petacek. And more work to do for him, but it's obviously helped. Here we go. So now Armstrong controls this race. He takes them through the elbow. Lawson trying to tuck up behind him. What can Raoul Hyman do? He's got the opportunity now. Here they come, folks. Lawson right there with Armstrong as they come to the line. Good start from Armstrong, but a better start from Lawson. He goes to the outside. They're almost side by side as they head to the loop. Round the outside. Now remember, Lawson made a move round the outside. Now he switches to the inside. Can he make it past his fellow Kiwi? They're side by side coming out of the loop and towards 2. And again, no quarter asked, none given. Armstrong holds on, but here comes Petrov. Petrov says, I'll have some of that. The Russian right on time as they come through. Good restart by all of them. And a puff of smoke there. Raoul Hyman. Oh, it's getting a little bit itchy. Through the brickyard and down towards the elbow. Armstrong still holding on, but under massive pressure now. Liam Lawson all over him. Petrov right there in third. They come out of the last corner and down the main straight. And Lawson's got a run on Armstrong now for sure. Here they go. Jigs one way, Jigs to the outside. They cross the line side by side again. They were close racing in Highlands, and it's the same at Teretonga. Awesome. Lawson does it again. He's got a nose in front of Armstrong, but he's got the better line. Lawson's going to go the long way. What racing. Oh, and he slides completely sideways. Well, if the Porter Group didn't get sponsorship coverage, they did now. Superb stuff. Lawson holds on, but Petrov's back at him. Armstrong lives to fight another day because he was on the racing line and Lawson almost lost it. But he's okay and still in second place. I think that's learned him a lesson that there's only so much grip out there. Meanwhile, Raoul Hyman is up to 4th and he's all over Petrov in the closing stages of this one. 2 laps to go. Brendan Leach still there, but further down in 9th position. Raoul Hyman looks up the inside of Petrov, can't quite pull it off the number 7. Here we come again. Time running out. Last lap then. Armstrong leads from Lawson. Petrov still third. Here comes Hyman. He's got the run on the Russian. Hyman looks to the outside. Now Jigs to the inside. Nicely done. Good racing. Good racecraft by the Brit. And Lawson again winding himself up. This is his last chance though. Where's he going to go? Armstrong in control. Staying smooth and staying out of trouble, more importantly. Lawson desperate to get past. Oh, and he makes a mistake again, does Lawson. Onto the grass, that could put the race to an end because he's lost ground now to Armstrong. Armstrong will look at his mirrors and know he's got this. Raoul Hyman's the most obvious overtake if anybody's going to do anything. Meanwhile, there's a big battle. Lucas Auer and Kotaka still going at it. Time running out. Here we go to the last corner. It's going to be close. Armstrong's got it, or has he? Off goes Raoul Hyman. He's blown it. Onto the grass he goes. But as they come to the line, Marcus Armstrong wins at Teretonga Race 1. Lawson is second for a Kiwi 1-2. M2 get 2 more victories to their tally. And across the line, sadly, Raoul Hyman. Petrov does take third. Dass will take 4th. Auer 5th. Kotaka 6th. Callan Williams in the top 7. For Australia, Brendan Leach taking 8th, Esteban Muth 9th, Dev Gore up to 10th. That's his best result. Sadly for Raoul Hyman, he had it all coming, and now he drops down to his grid position of 11th. Great race, a mistake by Lawson in the closing stages when he just put a tyre on the dirt. That's all it took. But that was a good, controlled, smart, level-headed race by Marcus Armstrong. Now you can begin to see the maturity of what racing in Europe and what racing for Ferrari has done for him. Marcus Armstrong with victory. Liam Lawson second place. Artem Petrov on the podium for the first time in 3rd position. Cameron Dass in 4th. Lucas Auer 5th. Teretonga in 6th place, Callan Williams of Australia 7th, Brendan Leach of Invercargill in New Zealand in 8th, Esteban Muth of Belgium 9th, and Dev Gore of the USA in 10th position. 2 more races to come from this weekend, a reverse. Top 6 or top 8, we have a ball draw for that later. That'll be Marcus Armstrong's job to do, and that will decide the grid for race 2. And then tomorrow morning we have qualifying, of course, for the feature race. So a lot of racing still to come. Not a lot of rain expected tomorrow, but we are expecting heavy winds here. We're right by the coast. This, of course, the southerly-most international race circuit in the world. Congratulations, though, to the Kiwis. Marcus Armstrong wins, Liam Lawson is 2nd, and Artem Petrov rounds out the top 3 for the podium. Stay with us on the live stream. We'll hopefully get to talk to the top 3, and if not, we'll post some interviews for you. But definitely want to keep up with this. It's getting closer and closer, and this is going to be a really good battle for the next 4 weeks between Marcus Armstrong and Liam Lawson. There's going to be others, of course, but I think already both have put their marker down, both have been consistent, both have been willing to fight, and that was a really good return to form, a level-headed race by Marcus Armstrong. So then, it's all gone quiet here again. The seagulls are out. There's no rain at the moment, and there's plenty more racing to come from our big weekend here at Teretonga. But that concludes our coverage of TRS. Race 1 from Teretonga, 4 races down in our 15-race sprint around the islands of beautiful New Zealand. Join us next time out.